We're going to be fermenting monosaccharides and disaccharides with the help of yeast. So we're going to look at three different sugars: lactose, which is a monosaccharide, sucrose, which is a disaccharide, and also glucose, which is a monosaccharide. So lactose is going to be my example here. Be careful when you measure that lactose. It's really, really powdery. When I opened the package, it went everywhere. Now, if you look at your directions, it will tell you to make your yeast solution relatively early on in the setup, and I actually advise against that. I have been trying to record this video for quite some time, and I followed the directions, and my yeast started generating carbon dioxide just as it was sitting in the water. So I would wait to dissolve my yeast solution until everything else is set up. So by everything else being set up, of course, the sugar's measured out, and then the gas collection setup is complete. So let's look at that gas collection setup. So I have a styrofoam cup that's practically full. There's about an inch at the top of 35 degrees Celsius water, and then here is my centrifuge tube, which holds about 15 mils of water. I have my rubber tube, and on one end I have the cap that will be inserted to the sugar bottle. And then on the other side, I'm going to insert that into the centrifuge tube. And a little bit of water will spill out, so just be careful. And I'm going to put it about halfway to 3/4 the way down. If I just barely put it into the centrifuge tube, the tube may come out. So I want to make sure the tube's inserted fairly deep into this tube. Now, the key to getting this setup to work is to push down really hard on the top of the centrifuge tube so that when the centrifuge tube is inverted, no water comes out. So I'm pushing down really hard in the top of the centrifuge tube, and I'm smushing the rubber tubing, and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to make sure that this top of the centrifuge tube goes under the surface of the water. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now it's under the surface and a bunch of water is spilling, and I'm just pushing the centrifuge tube down. And I don't know if you can see, but there's no air bubbles in the centrifuge tube. So I would recommend getting this gas collection set up before you do anything, because this took me a few tries until I could get it so that there was no air in my centrifuge tube. So you want to make sure that's the case, otherwise you won't really know how much carbon dioxide is generated. So now I'm ready to add 6 mils of my yeast solution to my sugar. And then once we do that, I'm going to take the gas collection tube and already there is some pressure building up in there, and some gas has already gone into my centrifuge tube. Now, I didn't tell you this, but I did actually put some baby oil on the top. I've been recording this forever, and so this already had some baby oil on the top. Don't forget to add some baby oil to the top. You can kind of angle it to see that the surface is covered. Now, an important thing for this reaction or this experiment to work is your yeast solution needs to be at 35 degrees Celsius. So make sure that the styrofoam cup that your sugar bottle is in 35. My setup is getting ruined now. I just ruined it. But you saw how I set it up, and that's what's important. Make sure that your sugar bottle stays at 35 degrees Celsius. So monitor that temperature pretty regularly, and as long as the temperature of your sugar solution stays 35 degrees Celsius, your result should be good.